Greetings, this is Skylar Saunders seeing what's current. All right, this is an entry that may deserve an asterisk. I put that in my story that I wrote for Vocal.media. They're not technically serial killers, they're mass murderers, really. But they had a fashion like they were serial killers. They could be lumped in the conversation. Who am I talking about? I'm talking about the Carr brothers. Eldred, Jonathan, and Reginald Carr. They committed horrendous, heinous crimes in this winter of the winter of 2000 in Kansas, specifically in December. They were caught. Spoiler alert: they were caught. But before that, they had committed just disgusting crimes. They had shot and wounded a woman. She was able to testify against them in her hospital bed, but not say anything else because she passed away due to her injuries. There were also 4 other people that were killed by the Carr brothers in their residence. But before then, they forced them to commit sexual acts and different just disgusting behavior, and totally brutalized the women. It's just a disgusting scene. What makes this situation so interesting and very thought-provoking is the fact that their death sentences were overturned, then put back on the block, and then overturned. I think finally they were by the United States Supreme Court, they were said to be committed to capital punishment. So this is just another entry with African American serial killers. Like I said, this may need an asterisk. They didn't. There's a literal and a definition stating what exactly a serial killer is and what they do. It's within a time frame of a few weeks to month to a few days to a few weeks to months, killing specifically or even randomly. It just is a different situation other than mass murderers. With these, I'm just gonna keep them in the context of serial killers because they were on a pathway to being serial killers, but they were caught. There is no God, but thank God. Here, I'm going to show you a clip, and we can hash this out.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Brett Bagansky. The Kansas Supreme Court upheld the death penalties in the Carr brothers case. A jury convicted Jonathan and Reginald Carr of a crime spree that left 5 people dead back in December of 2000. The Carr brothers are convicted of abusing 4 friends for hours and then killing them. The victims are Aaron Sander, Brad Haka, Heather Muller, and Jason Bedford. Another woman survived the attack and testified against the Carr brothers. Ann Walenta, a local cellist, was injured in a separate attack and died later at the hospital. The Carr brothers were also accused of robbing another man. The Kansas Supreme Court upheld the brothers' guilty verdicts in 2014, but overturned their death sentences. The U.S. Supreme Court overturned that decision 2 years later, sending it back to the state Supreme Court. So after hearing arguments in May, the state's high court released its decision today, upholding the death sentences. So we reached out to the district attorney for an analysis of the ruling. We do expect to hear more this afternoon, so be sure to keep it right here on KSN News at 5 and 6 o'clock.
All right, so there you have it. Let's see.
Good afternoon.
That's the news report. I mean, there's not a lot that has a substantial amount of time on them, but that's what I try to do. It is possible that the Carr brothers. I mean, I don't know their psychological evaluation. I don't know what triggered them to just start doing these terrible, horrific crimes. But it doesn't matter. They're monsters. They're evil, vicious, terrible, little scared little boys. They didn't grow up to be men. They were overgrown adolescents. And they're going to be waiting on death row. Could be another few decades before they're put, on a table for lethal injection, which they've earned. They've earned that. They've earned that position because they committed these truly just despicable crimes. I mean, it's just, you just contemplate them and you're like, human beings did that to other human beings. It's like, it's not even a question of, whether they should be put to death. It's like, yes, of course they should. I mean, the obvious one is always life or death. You get life, you have 1,400 years in prison or something like that. You just rot away in a cell, but you're alive, you're living, you're eating, you're drinking, you're eliminating, you're exercising. You can earn your degree in prison, and it's like but these families of the people that were harmed and killed ultimately, they don't have that luxury. They're dead. They're dead. So the families have to deal with the repercussions of these evil deeds. And the Carr brothers, they have, a way of truly showing themselves to be as horrific and disgusting as possible. I think with so I'm gonna show another video.
A judge denied the Carr brothers' request for resentencing.
Reginald and Jonathan Carr have been sitting on death row for more than 20 years for murdering 5 people in 2000. KAKE's Jocelyn Schifferdecker was in the courtroom. She joins us live from downtown tonight with more. Jocelyn.
Deb, Chris, we're outside of the Sedgwick County Courthouse where that motion for resentencing was denied this morning. The judge saying the state Supreme Court has already affirmed both the sentencing and convictions for this case. Jonathan Carr was back in a Sedgwick County courtroom Monday. His brother Reginald didn't appear in court. The brothers are asking for resentences in their death penalty case.
I don't think that I have jurisdiction to resentence Mr. Reginald Carr or Jonathan Carr on either case, so the motion will be denied.
Judge Jeffrey Gehring shut the door on the issue. The brothers have been sitting on death row since 2002.
I think the question becomes, is this a housekeeping matter or is this a substantive matter? I think that needs to be discussed a little bit today.
The brothers are responsible for what's known as the Wichita Massacre, a week of violence in 2000 where they killed 5 people. They were convicted of robbing, sexually assaulting, and murdering Aaron Sander, Brad Haka, Jason Beffert, and Heather Muller. The Carrs also shot and killed Ann Walenta. Their defense filed for resentencing last year, believing there were both trial and charging errors made back in 2002.
This court must, and in fact is required under Kansas law, to resentence Reginald Carr for the crimes that are actually his crimes of conviction.
Gehring disagrees, saying the state Supreme Court has affirmed both the conviction and sentence in this case.
If the Kansas Supreme Court wanted me to resentence them, wouldn't they have said that in the mandate? The fact that they elected not to do that, isn't that significant?
The defense says this isn't the end.
Obviously, the defense has the opportunity to appeal that decision today, which they've already indicated they would.
The defense says it's going to appeal the court's decision today. A status conference between the defense and state is being set within the next 60 days. Reporting live in downtown Wichita, Jocelyn Schifferdecker, KAKE News on your side.
All right. Again, but you know what isn't mentioned a lot in any of the news clips? They mentioned the victims. They didn't mention one lady who was able to escape their capture. She was bloodied and naked She was completely in the nude, and she was going through snow. She just was running for her life, literally. She was literally running for her life, trying to find some way to escape their clutches. She finally got to a house, decorated with Christmas lights and stuff like that. Like I said, it's around December. And she happened to find a couple, and they took her in and gave her a blanket and tried to warm her and calm her down and everything like that. She had forwent or refused to go into any cars that passed, any passerbys and vehicles, because she felt that the Carr brothers would be in a car in a vehicle and ready to snatch her up and kill her. So she just was just running through the woods, running through different areas, all through the snow. She actually caught frostbite to one of her toes. She had, I think, been brutalized, but she lived, and she was able to testify against them. She goes by the name of Holly G. Holly G. That's an alias. That's a pseudonym. Because they want to keep her name private. She's probably somewhere somewhere around the country in like a witness protection program situation. But that's part of the situation as well, part of the story. It's very horrific. I mean, just to think about these, because I looked online and I said, well, they're not technically serial killers, but they're listed under serial killers because of the way that they completely weaponized their genitals and actually used weapons. They had guns, they had pistols on them. That is just, and it's just very disturbing. It's completely disturbing and low grade, very disgusting behavior to even consider. I think with in our society, I'm looking for it. I haven't yet found somebody past 2011. Haven't found anyone past 2011. 2011 was a watershed moment, and it just coincided with me. Just to be selfish and talk about myself for a second, I bought my first iPhone in 2011. I never looked back. I was like, not everything's new is good. You don't need a iPhone, whatever. You don't need. And I'm like, I get this thing, and it changes my life. I'm like, I can't. It's the cliches. I can't live without it. I can't live without my phone. My life is in my phone. Something would happen to my phone, it'll be pretty sad, pretty disturbing day. So, but anyway, we live in an era where we have smartphones, we have drones, we have Ring doorbell cameras. I mean, we're living in a very advanced time. We live in an example of social media. We have Nextdoor. We have various ways of alerting each other and alerting the authorities, the law enforcement, and paramedics and the first responders. It's a totally different realm than 2000. 2000 was another way. I mean, it looks like the Wild Wild West, or some old-fashioned days. Now it's just the turn of the close to the turn of the century. Yeah, the Carr brothers, just despicable, ugly, disgusting, overgrown adolescents. And that's giving overgrown adolescents not enough credit. These were not men. These are not men. They're on death row right now. They should be dead by now. I don't know. That's nothing with the law. I have to study that. Why does it take so long for somebody to be, put to death? And I always quote Ron White, the comedian. He says, some states are getting rid of the death penalty. My state, he's from Texas, is putting in an express lane. Like, I don't understand. I don't understand. They're living. They're alive. They have the right to life. That's like one of the only rights they have is a right to life. They don't have liberty. I mean, you could say they pursuing their happiness in jail. I guess maybe, but otherwise, they're not living They're not living it up in luxurious, accommodations exactly. So I just think that the Carr brothers are not technically serial killers. I know that you're gonna be like, "Oh, Scott, you don't know what you're talking about. They're not serial killers." I got that. It's understood. It's an asterisk. I put an asterisk next to this. I didn't put it in the I might put it in the title. I'll do that now. Hell, there's nobody even in here right now. I'll put an asterisk right there. Boop. So that's just the weird way of doing it. Excuse me. Okay. So, Carr brothers. I just that's what I like about shows like Mindhunters and Criminal Minds, and I don't really watch Criminal Minds as much. I used to watch it sometimes. Sometimes I'll watch it. But I watch, I think, every single episode of Mindhunters. Investigators, detectives, they have to sit behind, right next, just a few inches. Authors too. There was an author from one of the other cases. They sit inches away from evil. That takes a lot. That has to take a lot. To summon enough courage and enough stamina and enough backbone to be able to face down viciousness. That takes a lot. So I just, salute, investigators, detectives, authors. They're staring down these horrific human beings and excuses for human beings. Piss poor excuses. And I just think that Carr and his brother, they definitely didn't have the right thing. All right, I'm gonna play another clip.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us. I'm Emily Younger.
And I'm Jeff Herndon. After the U.S. Supreme Court declined to hear a second appeal for the Carr brothers, the case is making its way back to Sedgwick County.
This means the fate of the two men convicted of capital murder more than 20 years ago is not set in stone. KSN's Hannah Adamson has our top story tonight. Hannah.
Jeff, Emily, today SCOTUS upheld the Kansas Supreme Court's judgment on the death penalty for both Jonathan and Reginald Carr. The two were convicted of capital murder after killing 5 people in 2000. This is the second time this case has been brought up to the U.S. Supreme Court. With today's decision, the Sedgwick County District Attorney's Office is currently waiting for SCOTUS to issue a mandate that revests the jurisdiction of this case back to Kansas.
That direct appeal, I think, is what most people think of as the appeal, has now played itself out and is now final. That's not the end, though.
District Attorney Mark Bennett says absent any additional pleadings or filings from the Carr brothers' defense teams once the case makes its way back to Sedgwick County, those teams can move forward with what are known as collateral attacks, a legal process which could take years.
Most people would call it the ineffective assistance of counsel claims. Worst case scenario, the collateral attacks are sustained and they find that counsel was ineffective and a new trial would happen. I would say they are infrequently granted.
However, if a district court judge determines the defendant's counsel was not ineffective, Bennett says the Carr's defense teams could bring the case back to the Kansas Supreme Court for an appeal. And if that fails,
they can then appeal that to the United States Supreme Court because it's a matter of Sixth Amendment. It's a constitutional question.
Bennett says if the indirect appeals process does not lead to a new trial, the manner in which the death penalty is carried out could be challenged as cruel or unusual punishment.
That's never been challenged in Kansas yet because we haven't gotten that far. Frankly, there's no case that's that far along in its appellate process.
Regarding the surviving victims and the victims' families, Bennett says he had a conversation with a number of them this morning. He says the ones he spoke to were pleased with the U.S. Supreme Court's decision today. Bennett says considering this process has been decades in the making, they know that they're in it for the long haul and are ready for the next step, no matter what that might be. Here for you, Hannah Adamson, KSN News 3.
Again, I just...
Good evening.
The legal system is weird to me.
Thank you for joining us.
All right. I just don't get it. I don't get it. Real empty in here. I can hear my echo. Yeah, it is super empty, but I'm gonna keep grinding. This is all about. This is your job, Son 90. You're supposed to bring in all your friends. Do you not have friends? And what are your friends' names? My friends' names are George, Tom, Abe, Alex, Andy, Ulysses, and Ben. Those are my friends. Salute to you, sir. Thank you for stopping by. Appreciate it. It's just one of them days, as Monica used to say. One of them days. There we go. 3. Here. Hear ye. Thank you. You brought him in, I guess. I don't know. But that's what I'm saying with this case and with cases like it. I don't understand the rule. I don't understand how this this going back and forth. Death penalty. No, we don't have death penalty. Okay, we do have death penalty. Okay, we don't have. I just don't. It makes zero sense to me. Yes, the usual suspect. Exactly. And you don't forget Ulysses. Don't forget Ulysses. Don't forget Ulysses. And I think Grover Cleveland. I think he has like $5,000 bill or something like that. Crazy. But yeah. So okay, there we go with 4. That's what I said. You just gotta stick around for a little while, and then if you build it, they will come. Pause. But yeah, so I don't understand the judicial system at all. I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's broken, I think. I think it needs room for it. It's probably one of the most robust systems in the world because there are places where people only have 15 rights. Some people have 5 rights. Some people have no rights. You know, this is all according to the Constitution. This is under the rule of what was said in the video, cruel and unusual punishment. Like, I think the electric chair sounds like cruel and unusual punishment, but I think it's vital. I'm crazy, but am I crazy? Like, I think gas chambers are crazy. Whoever came up with the lethal injection was like, we gotta do this humane, y'all. Like, but I could care less as long as they're found dead and nobody else is hurt. I don't care. Firing squads, like, who's hanging? That seems like cruel and unusual punishment to me. But I think it's good. If you're not, cruel and unusual punishment means if you're an innocent, that's when it's cruel and unusual punishment. If you are, if there's a shadow of a doubt on your case and you're put into prison on death row, then I think that could be, calling for the Constitution to be said, that you get, I guess, processed out of the prison system. You get a different trial or something, you get a retrial or something like that. That's the way I see it. But when there's stone cold evidence, there's beyond a shadow of a doubt, beyond reasonable doubt that you committed these crimes. That's what I think is so important. I don't know what. Let me see. Show. What is this? Hold on. I'm trying to copy this. Hold on. Hold on. Let me check something. I'm looking at something right now. Hold on. Hold on. Now, hold on. Son of Sun 90 has a link. I don't know where it's going. Wow. Okay. I'll see that later. Thank you for that, Son of Sun 90. All right. So, it's very weird to me. I have to look further into the justice system because I just don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me. I think, in obvious fashion, maybe dozens or even scores of people in the judicial system have been innocent and been put to death. I'm just going to go out on a limb. I'm just saying it has to be at least a few hundred, maybe even 1,000 out of the millions of people that have gone through the judicial system, and the thousands, the hundreds, if not thousands, of people that have been put on death row. What percentage of them were innocent? Somebody had to be innocent at least once, at least. But these people, I'm talking about Carr brothers, they were not innocent, not by any stretch of the imagination. Their crimes were so heinous and so despicable that they deserve to be fried in the electric chair. If it was up to me, put them in a gas chamber. You can't hang them anymore. That stopped in Delaware. That was in 1996. Or 95. I think it's 95, 95, 96, somewhere around there. Firing squad, I don't even think they have firing squads anymore. Not in America, not in the United States. I don't think they have firing squads. I don't even know if they have the gas chamber anymore. You don't really hear that too much. All you hear really is the lethal injection. And that really is alarming because it just, it's like too nice and to my liking. I don't know. I'm not trying to be sadistic and not trying to be trying to be like roaring, raging for somebody to suffer and die. But they when you have people like this, they kind of deserve to suffer and die. They killed 5 people. Like, that's crazy. They killed 5 people in a matter of a few days. Hours, really. And it gnaws at you. It gnaws at and it tugs at your mind, tugs at your soul. Just given the facts of this case, given the facts that this Holly G was one of the only people to really delineate exactly what happened in that house. And those people's lives were not lost. They were stolen. They had their lives stolen from them. That's a fact. Sun 90 says, what are the analytics looking like for this topic and how many more segments? I don't know, and I don't know are the questions. I haven't looked at all the analytics. It's at least 400, I think, something like that, 400 views. Not my most, apparently. But many more segments. I mean, ballpark, probably about 5 to 10 more, maybe less. Because it's difficult to find news clips because that's they're fair use. You can use news clips for your videos. You don't have to pay anything. You don't have to ask anyone for the rights to the footage. It's free. It's fair use. So I try to do different killers like from the 40s and 30s and 40s, like that just didn't go well because there's no news clips for that, especially a black woman. I can't even think of her name right now, but there's a black woman in the 30s and 40s and 50s that was killing her family members with arsenic. He says, okay, I will subscribe back when you finish this segment. Enjoy, my friend. Well, thank you. We're not friends either, but I appreciate it, sir. Thank you. Salute to you. Make sure you tell 12, what is it? I'm at 15. That'd be 86. So tell 14 or 15 or 15 other people to subscribe so I can get 1,000. I appreciate it, Son of the Sun 90. Salute to you, sir. Salute. Yeah, the Carr brothers. Yeah, it's just so wrong. Just so wrong. Just to even contemplate all this stuff. It's the world in which we live, but not like it was. Very rarely do you hear serial killers. You hear mass shootings. You hear all that. Those are like, oh yeah, well, I'm done. I killed 12 people. Well, cool. I'm done. That's it. I killed 68 people. That's great. Wonderful. Well, that's it. I'm done. I'm not going on a tour here, even though that's kind of like what they did, what the Carr brothers did. They didn't really go on like the serial killer tour and go, from going from city to city or state to state, terrorizing people. They terrorized people in just one household at one time, and it was considered, a spree killing, in a sense. They were spree killers, or they still are. And I still am trying to figure that out. In my head, I'm scratching because I'm like, why is there even a death row? There has to be a reason. There's a reason for these things that I don't know. Like, why is there death row? What is this death row mess about? Go into a line, shoot them in the head, and there's no death row. I mean, what is? I'm stupid. You have to figure it. Well, Sky, they have to do due process and. Okay, but I don't get it. It makes zero sense to me. I don't understand why there are death row anything. There's Bombers Row in Colorado, Florence, maximum security prison where Terry Nichols is, and the bomber behind the shoe bomber. The Ted Kaczynski used to be there. He died while on Bombers Row. I think that the bomber behind the World Trade Center of '93, the attack, I believe he's on there. Don't correct me if I'm wrong. But I definitely know that Terry Nichols and Ted Kaczynski, he died. He died on Bombers Row. I still don't understand why. I mean, Terry Nichols got life. He had I don't know how many life sentences he got, but the man, the person he worked with, oh goddamn! Oh, don't y'all are messing me up now. Hold on, Terry Nichols and oh my god, I think it was his name, Timothy McVeigh. Thank you, Timothy. That's it. It's the power of the phones, right? Timothy McVeigh got the death penalty. He definitely got the death penalty. There's no question about that. He was put to death by the state of Oklahoma. Put to death. So, or was it the state of Colorado? I don't know. But it was because of his actions in Oklahoma that he was put to death, I'll say. It just is very disturbing on every level, just on every single level. It's just a completely disturbance. Carr brothers, they made a name for themselves. They're infamous. They're notorious for killing these people. And I'm glad they were caught, and I'm glad, it's what it is, but I think it still has to do with racial bias. People didn't understand. Oh well, no, it could have been those niggers. They didn't commit those crimes. They're not smart enough. They don't have enough brain power for that. They're not intelligent enough. It's not a matter of intelligence necessarily. It's a matter of cunning. It's a matter of, being clever and underhanded and things like that. It's not really intelligence. It's not really being smart. It's a difference. And that's what the Carrs possess. They possess the power of influence, the power of coercion, power of force. And that's what, did them in, brought them low. That's what, really, shook the world up when people realized, like, wow, that really happened. Yes, it did. I used to think about that all the time too. I'm like, well, god damn, we got murderers and rapists and people, pedophiles and all kinds of stuff. Like, and people still have babies. People still live their life. They're like, it's not me, and keep going with their life, But the families still have to be haunted. This is around Christmas time. Every Christmas has to be some kind of weird, sad, very, very, serious in to some extent, and they have to remember their loved ones that perished at the hands of these mad boys. I don't even call them men. These mad children, that didn't fully understand the proper didn't fully understand protecting and recognizing and respecting other people's property rights and their life, and that's the key thing. It's the key property and all this. So I just think it is it's tough to see. It's tough to see, stuff like this. I'm gonna look for another video. Let me see. Let me see if I can do this. I'm looking up right now. Let me see. Can't hear it. Oh my god, this is crazy. Hold on. Oh my god. What is going on? All right, I know I'm messing up right now. God damn. I'm really messing up. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna start from scratch. What I had to do before. I'm trying to find the video. All right, here we go.
By law enforcement, they embarked on a gruesome rampage, leaving a trail of victims in their wake. This horrifying tale serves as a dark reminder of the evil that can lurk in the most unexpected places. 5 people were killed, and 2 people, a man and a woman, were severely wounded. The brothers were arrested and convicted of multiple counts of murder, kidnapping, robbery, and rape. They were both sentenced to death in October 2002 and are being held in the El Dorado Correctional Facility. The Carr Brothers Massacre.
Okay.
In the quiet...
So, that's another video They're not long. They're not, too truly in depth, but they give you a segment of, of a figment of what occurred. So, I mean, like I said, they've been on death row since 2002. What are they waiting for? I don't. I'm gonna have to look that up. Why? What is it? What is it? Why do inmates on death row stay on death row so long? Okay. This is search assistants giving me an answer. Inmates often stay on death row for many years due to lengthy and complex appeals processes, which can take over a decade or more to resolve. Additionally, the legal systems focus on ensuring fair trials and addressing potential wrongful convictions contributes to these extended wait times. That's what I got. That's what I was figuring. I was figuring it's because the appeals process, because of various judges, various people involved in the case, people that are involved in specifically with what is going on. That I can understand. I get that. But that's what I was saying with people that are innocent. If you are innocent, you would definitely want to wait. But like in most cases, like on death row, you're on death row for something that's pretty obvious that it was you or in your cohorts. It's not even a question. It is definite. So, if you have any like connection to the crime, obviously you have to be on death row. But if you're innocent of a crime, completely not guilty, and you were sentenced to you were found guilty, you're going to want to be able to fight. You're going to want to be able to defend yourself against any and all different ways that the court system may have missed something. They may have found a new piece of evidence that could exonerate you. DNA, of course. I always say DNA. DNA, is probably one of the best things that ever happened. DNA obviously has been around since the beginning of mankind and other fauna and flora. But I'm saying for DNA analysis is great. I think it's wonderful. But yeah, that makes sense. That actually makes sense. I needed something for clarity to understand it better. To give a better vision as to why more people don't go, why it's the appeals process. It's the appeals process. It's the process of appealing your case and lessening your time or lessening the severity of your punishment. And death is the ultimate because there's no going back. It's completely irreversible. There's no, can he go after? No, he's dead. He can't go after an appeal. That's it. It's a wrap. But some people even argue that death is too much. Any second half. What do you ask? What do you mean any second half? What are you talking about, Son of Sun 90? What are you talking about? Any second half. Not sure what you mean, sir. What do you mean? But I think with back to 3. I don't know who are the other 2. I just see Son of Sun 90. 2 people are quiet. 2 people are shy. That's fine too, though. But yeah. So they have you get to a point where you question these things, and then you find out. Second half of the show when you switch up the topic. No, staying on the Carr brothers. Got to stay on the Carr brothers. That's all I'm prepared to do. I did preparation earlier today, watched documentaries, I read newspaper clippings, read Wikipedia, of course, is a great help. So I think with, with the Carr brothers, there's no question, there's no doubt. I don't understand how it's in the Constitution. That's how I understand it. Because it's in the Constitution, challenges their rights as even inmates in prison, and you're essentially a slave when you're in prison. You really don't have any rights besides your life and quote unquote pursuit of happiness, but you don't have property. That's in your property, I guess you can say that. That's not the Constitution, but it should be, or the Declaration of Independence, actually. That's not in the Declaration of Independence, but it should be life, liberty, property, and the pursuit of happiness. Son of the Sun 90 is not an obsession. It's a curiosity. It's an interest in it. I was told to by Mr. Troystar Terrain to try to see about Black or African American serial killers. That's the reason why. And I'm just these are all testing the water. It's not been a major success. Hasn't been huge. I haven't had thousands or millions of views. I'm not at a billion views like Wiz Khalifa. Wiz Khalifa, I think, has at least 3 videos that have 1 billion views. Post Malone, he has a few. All right, Saunders, thank you. Salute to you. Thank you very much for coming in. Twin, I appreciate the trolling. Thank you. You're a definite troller. Is that a troller? Troll. I appreciate your trolling abilities. I do appreciate it. So thank you very much for that. And you're contributing to the amount of people in my queue and the amount of people that are watching. So I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Make sure you tell 15 friends. I already know Son of the Sun's 90s friends. Now you got to tell your friends. So yeah, so the Carr brothers, I mean, it's so blatant, so obvious. Of course not. Son of the Sun 90. When have I blocked anyone? I'll wait. You let me know when I ever blocked anybody. Did I ever block you, Son of the Sun 90? But it's so interesting just to witness like I said racial bias. They have to either catch up. They have to say, oh no, it couldn't have been niggers, or oh, it was niggers. Oh, we have to say they were smart. We have to say they were masterminds. We have to say they were geniuses. We have to say they were criminal ones. Oh, of course not. Son of the Sun 90. I mean, do what you got to do. I've had people do what they had to do. That's all I say. I say, look, I'm not going to block them. You have a wrench. It's at your discretion. It's at your discretion. You do what you got to do, Son of the Sun 90. If you want to block them, block them. But I'm not, or block her. Or, I don't know. It could be a female. I think it is a female, actually. Y'all all suck. You all suck. That's fine. Thank you, Saunders. Appreciate it. Thank you. You're wasting your own time, I guess, because you're coming into a room. You're coming into a broadcast just to say somebody sucks. You must have a lot of time on your hands. I salute to you. I salute your trolling. Thank you for trolling. I appreciate it. So anyway, the Carr brothers. I mean, just living evil doers, as former George Bush once said, evildoers, the evildoers. Saunders says something I'm not going to repeat, but that's funny that Saunders should ask that without a question mark, and she must be very familiar with it, whatever this is. So, and what does that mean anyway? What is the implication? To do what? With what? Because I think most people that have that ability to do so, if they eat food or drink water or liquids, the implication, I guess, is still there. The innuendo. But look, not really, not really engaging with the topic, not anything like that. Just a troll. That's fine. Be a troll. I got 3 viewers right now. But yeah. So I get to learn. That's one of the best things about going on these journeys into these criminal minds. It just, you learn why the appeals court, why they stay so long on death row, because the Constitution says you can't have cruel and unusual punishment, which is really vague, right? What is cruel and unusual? What is usual? What is the opposite of cruel? Was it that kind and usual punishment? Like, oh, we're gonna sit you in a chair and we're gonna strap you to it, and we're gonna send electricity through you, but we're doing it in a nice way. We're gonna put you in a gas chamber. We're gonna put this combination of different chemicals, and you're gonna be gassed to death. But we're gonna do it politely. We're not gonna do it. We're not gonna be mean about it. I mean, it's weird. And lethal injection is probably the closest thing to actually being, because it's like you're just getting a shot. You're getting a jab, as they say across the pond. You're getting a jab. It's your last jab, most likely, unless something goes wrong. But it's your last time in a table somewhere, And just a quick reminder, the slogan to Nike is "Just do it," and that comes from an inmate who was put on the death row. And he just said, just do it. Like, they must have been saying, like, do you want your last meal? Do you want your last rites? Just do it. It's reality. It's true. But on a serious note, I mean, 5 lives taken at the hands of these miserable, disturbed, ugly individuals, just ugly souls, just terrible, horrific human beings. Excuses for human beings, of course. They've shown themselves to be, lesser than. They don't matter. They don't matter at all. They're less than scum that you peel off your shoe. They're lower than that. They have no rights except life and property, really. And they don't have the right to pursue their happiness. I said they could, but that requires liberty. I mean, whatever happiness you can find behind bars isn't happiness, it's relief. It's relief. You can play a card game, you can watch TV, you can go on, talk, email your girlfriend, whatever, see them in the family room, whatever, in the day room, or whatever the case may be. But it's just disturbing. Like I said, this was scary. Like, you had the people like they call them the Central Park 5. They did not commit this crime of rape against this woman. The guy in prison actually admitted to doing it. He admitted that he did it. So I'm saying, what if there was a capital punishment? And I think President Trump actually advocated for it, capital punishment against the Central Park Five, and none of them was guilty. They were found guilty, but they weren't guilty. They were not guilty. They were innocent. There's an excellent movie called, I think it's called When They See Us, by Ava DuVernay or DuVernay. Excellent film. Excellent series. It's actually a series. Excellent series. Mini series, I think it is. And just imagine, what if there was a death penalty for them? That would have been horrific. That would have been just complete, not like, that would have been just horrendous. So it is, good that they are on death row. Carr, hold on, let me make sure. Make sure their names. Let me see. Jonathan and Reginald.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Jonathan and Reginald Carr. So the death sentence is affirmed. It is affirmed. It is exact. It is in place to ensure that these brothers will one day stop breathing according to the dictates of the state and the United States at large, the country as well, country and the state of Kansas, for their evil deeds. And what it reminded me of was Truman Capote's his investigative journalism and his book In Cold Blood, that was from the 50s, I think. Excuse me. So I think he wrote that back in the 50s, or it was in the 50s or the 60s, and it was from, I think it was a case of this family, the Cutter, I think it was the Cutter family, and they were just murdered right in cold blood, and just, it was crazy. Salute to Wizard, you're coming in super late, sir. I'm about to get out of here. How has the government been treating you lately? How's the government treating you lately? Then he says the brother. He knows I don't go by brother. He's trolling right now, but he's a good troll. It's like witches. There's good witches and there's bad witches. Like Saunders is a bad troll, but I'm gonna let him live. Let her live, or whatever the person is. Tranny, something. The government's treating me lovely. I just got a deposit, tax free. I pay no taxes, none. I have a great life. I get up and do whatever the hell I want to do. Great life. How's the government treating you, Wizard? How many friends have you brought to this platform? Make sure it's at least 16. Let me turn your 500 to 100,000. Uh-oh. What do you got? You got some scheme? You got some Ponzi scheme? What you got? Let me turn your 500 to 100,000. Yeah. That's what they all say. I don't do pyramid schemes. I don't do that stuff. No. That was cute, the Wizard. DC hustler. That's all he is. He's a DC hustler. But Carr brothers locked up, should be. That's justice. All these appeals, they also unsubscribed due to the topics. Like what? The African American serial killers? That's good. I think that's a good sign. And what else? What other topic? What other topics should I explore? Back to hip hop again? I may get back to that after this. But I have to do my due diligence. I have to do at least, it may go up to 20. I'm probably gonna do a top 20 African American serial killers in history, something like that. But I'd like to thank Son to Son 90, Wizard. Okay, how did I become an atheist? That's a good topic. Maybe we'll do that one day. We'll see. But I appreciate you, Wizard. I gotta go. Thank you very much, and I will see you all sometime tomorrow. Take care.